My name is Adam Andrzejewski, and I'm the founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com. This week, we've got another incredible topic for you. We're going to go through the waste in COVID aid. So before we get to the topic, I just want to introduce my co-host, Tamara Colbert. Tamara, are you there?
Hi, Adam. Good evening. This is going to be another brick throwing conversation tonight. What are we talking about? Congress, of course.
Well, Congress just passed that $1.5 trillion omnibus spending bill to keep the government open without a shutdown through the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of September of this year. However, we're going to go back and talk about a bill today that they passed to, quote, bail out, lots of different constituencies across the country. It's called the American Rescue Act, and that spent nearly $2 trillion a year ago.
Why are we bailing out the states, Adam? That $2 trillion, now more?
Yeah, so tucked inside the American Rescue Act was $350 billion to bail out the 50 states and the 36,000 local units across the country. And that's, the American Rescue Act was a part of over $5 trillion in COVID aid and bailouts. And that was only through the United States Congress. You also had the Federal Reserve with trillions more. So we've thrown trillions of dollars at this. And but let's talk right now about the money to the states and localities. First, the states. How much waste can there be in $350 billion? And so we bailed out, states like the red state of Utah. Utah was running a $1.5 billion budget surplus, and we bailed them out for an additional $1.5 billion. And when I say we, it was Congress spending our money, taxpayer money.
That's crazy. And this is what's important. Utah had a surplus. They didn't need any money.
That's right. So then it gets worse. The state of Texas, the red state of Texas. Texas was running a $1 billion budget surplus, and Congress bailed out the state of Texas for another $17 billion of our money. And that went to state government. That doesn't even include the money that went to the Texas municipalities and localities, the different local units of government across the state. They didn't need the money. They can't argue that they needed taxpayer help either. So then we get to an even worse situation. Now think about this. The blue state of California. California was running a $75 billion budget surplus, and Congress bailed out state government in California to the tune of another $26 billion. That's our money in the Golden State. They can't make the argument they needed the money, and we're bailing them out.
Here's what's egregious about California. They don't even keep a checkbook. We have been trying to get them to open their checkbook, and they've used the excuse it's too hard to account for all this money.
Exactly. All 49 other states, we filed a Freedom of Information Act request, and we can see the line-by-line payments to every vendor in state government for the entire last fiscal year, but not California. All right. So now, in the American Rescue Act, Congress also bailed out the 36,000 municipalities. But Tamara, here's the deal. There's a lot of waste in that. Right. Let's just talk about the 50 richest places in America. The 50 richest places in the American Rescue Act received $100 million in bailout. It's places like Beverly Hills, zip code 90210, that got $8 billion. The richest place in America is Atherton, California. It's home to many of the tech titans who have their companies in Silicon Valley. The average household income is $500,000. The average. They're all wealthy people in Atherton. And Congress sent COVID aid to Atherton to the tune of $1.4 million.
Unbelievable.
But it gets worse. It always does. You got the vacation destination, Key West, Florida. They got $10 million. You got the playground for the New York City elites in Greenwich, Connecticut. The Greenwich area in Connecticut received $20 million of our money. on a COVID aid bailout.
So Adam, COVID aid or a way for Congress to dole out favors? We know something about this.
Well, there's a real problem when Congress is bailing out really rich towns. These are wealthy towns. These are towns that are loaded with some of the richest people on the planet. Now, Tamara, look, let's take a step back. We should never demonize success in America.
Never.
But as taxpayers, we don't need to subsidize it either.
Right. So, Adam, what can we do? We talk about this. I think part of the problem is that our legislators are not given enough time to adequately go through and look and see what is in a bill.
Well, and that is, you're spot on. So we have this petition at openthebooks.com, and I encourage everybody watching the program here today, go to openthebooks.com. Across the top is the petition tab. Click that tab and sign the petition to urge Congress to read the bill. It's probably a 99% issue. I mean, AOC says she's on board for this thing. I mean, who would be against this? Congress needs to be mandated in law from the last version of a piece of legislation, at least 72 hours to read the bill. So the people, the press, the politicians, the pundits, so we can read it, see what's in it, so we can read it, so we can bring the heat, so Congress sees the light.
Absolutely. There it is. You can go to openthebooks.com. We've got the petition link right at the top of the homepage. We need you to encourage your legislators to read the bill. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll be back with you next Thursday for another episode of the Ripoff of the Week.